Hello, everybody. I'm Cantonese Cat. Everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Thank you, everybody, for joining the membership. I see a bunch of people joining today. And just want to go through a few business here. First of all, for those who are only seeing me on YouTube and don't know that I have an X account, I do. My handle over there is at CantonMail. I have a lot of posts on there. I post a lot of things that are beyond what I post here on YouTube. So please feel free. You want to, you like what I'm talking about, if you enjoy the content, please follow me there. I also have a few collaborators that I, talk to on a regular. I actually just had a YouTube live stream with my friend Garcia on his channel earlier today. Feel free to check that out. His channel is at Garcia Capital. It's spelled exactly how it's pronounced. A couple other of my collaborators, Danny Chang, love that guy. Great Maspy. He's okay. He's not that great, but he's pretty great. It's fine. Also like this guy over here, Tesla Tracker, who does his best work in the toilet. Love them all. Just kind of want to give them a shout out. So please feel free to follow them if you enjoy what I do. Those are my collaborators. I pretty much do a live stream together with collaborative effort with the Tesla Tracker and the Great Matsby. Sometimes with Danny, if I can get him, if he wakes up early enough to do this Triumphant TA live stream. I think the handle on YouTube is at Triumphant TA. Feel free to subscribe to that if you want to get more of this stuff where it came from. So without further ado, I am a little bit early. I'm about a couple of minutes early. So I'm just gonna basically kind of take a step back here, and I'm gonna start promptly to talk about the markets and everything else at 5 o'clock. And what we're seeing here is really, I do have a membership, by the way. If you want to join the membership, I have the instructions here available on my X. It's one of those things that's just kind of really annoying because if you look at Apple iOS devices, which a lot of us have, you're not going to see the join button. You're really only able to join through Chrome or Android. But once you join, you should have access to all the members' content on Apple iOS as well. So for those who've joined, you already know that you get some private lessons. You get some portfolio update, which I just gave today. Also gave a video about some hot stocks as well. Talked about a lot about Chinese stocks here today. And here we are doing a live stream, so we'll see what happens with this live stream. 5 o'clock, let's do it. What do I think about the market? A lot of things have changed since the last time we talked, back on last Saturday. Last Saturday, we weren't above the 1.618. Something magical has happened with the market really trying to push through here. You can see that this is the Gann art, by the way, or the Gann square, by the way. The way I marked this, I have a lesson. If you remember, you can see that. But it's pretty much, there's only like really a couple ways you can do it, and there's only a couple numbers you can put in. And once you put in, like, this magical chart just pops up. And what pops up is that you see a lot of these market symmetry where these arcs here serve as a little bit of like a market resistance, and the back test is support. Push through here, got rejected over here, right? And then push through, back tested it, right? And also kind of back tested the horizontal here a little bit. Back tested the arc here multiple times, pushed through, went to the horizontal here, got rejected, came back down, back tested the arc, pushed through. And initially, we're having a little harder time breaking through about the arc a little bit, last month. But yeah, we were able to break through here. We're able to really break through here. So all of these things are very, very, very bullish. So you're seeing that not just here, but you're also seeing that with the you also bring about the 1.618 here as well, which is a very important resistance level. So the very fact that it breaks above that is very important. On top of that, you're also able to break above the this magic thing that's behind the scene here. This is the QQQ, or the Nasdaq, if you will. You can see that even the Nasdaq here is also breaking How did you who bought this tracker? Is this you? I was like, is there a scammer who like try to use like a different accounts and trying to mimic the triumvirate? But wow, so you saw me promoting you. Hi, White Rabbit. Hi, Vivian. Hi, Bian. Don't let me interrupt. So this is the QQQ. As you can see, the last few months we've been trying to break about the 1.618 and also trying to break about the horizontal GAN line over here. But we're having a hard time. Hi, DK. Thank you for joining as a member. You're having a hard time really break about the 1.618 here for months, right? What happened? The election's over. People decide that $6.5 trillion on the sidelines. They want to trigger a little bit of money into it, so they push through 1.618. Now, this is pretty important because you're talking about breaking a resistance level. I think we're breaking about the resistance level here pretty convincingly. Right now, this is a monthly chart. We're still early, could end up being just a wick above, certainly. But I think this might be a real breakout. We'll see, right? What happens after you break above the arc and when you break above the horizontal? Let's see what happened last time after it did that. Last time after it did that, it went to the next arc, right? And in the time before that, after it did this appropriate back test here, which we did, we back tested the arc over here back in August around the yen carry trade. Just happened to perfectly back test the arc right there. And yeah, and it just kind of pushed up to potentially to the next arc up here. I'm not saying that it's going to push up to the arc maybe like in the next year or two. It could be next 3-4 years. But you're basically talking about the Nasdaq or the QQQ going from 500 potentially to 1,000, which you're talking about potentially doubling up. It's not that insane to think about because that's exactly what happened here around 2018, 2019, all the way to like 2021. It's the Nasdaq basically like doubled and tripled. These are not abnormal market behavior, especially when global liquidity is increasing. IWM is doing something magical. You remember what we were talking about, how IWM was having a hard time breaking above the 0.786 for a long time. And once it breaks above, I think it's probably going to end up hitting 1.618. That's exactly what's happening right now. And because of this, and this is also happening in the back of a very beautiful katana here on Ichimoku. All of this is all very cycle dependent, by the way. This is like almost pre-programmed, if you will, because this whole thing right here, we've had like 3 or 4 cycles. Cycle number 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Each of these cycles back tested the cloud went higher, right? And when it back tested the cloud went higher for like 2 or 3 years, and we just did that over here, back test the cloud, and right now we're going higher. You also had a bullish cross at the blue and the red line over here. Once you had a bullish cross over here, goes for like at least like 3 years, 2 years, year and a half. Right now, we just had like the katana or the cross here. Probably going to get going to like 300, if not higher. And if IWM goes to 300, I think a lot of things are going to fly. Even Cathie Wood's ARK fund is going higher. It's like hitting a horizontal GAN resistance. It's probably going to end up getting some resistance here, 0.382, but it's probably going to go up higher to the Ichimoku cloud here. Yeah, I'm happy to look into some of the requests here. I was going to do Ethereum anyway, and I can jot down some of the things that you are hoping to chart. I'll do what I can to get to it. I just kind of want to get through a little bit of the market, and then I'll do some chart requests here in a second. Because it's important to take into the context, because you don't take into context, it's just a bunch of random things, right? XBI have broke into the monthly Ichimoku cloud. XBI is the where is it? The biotech sector, right? It's finally. I thought it was going to be resistance, but so far it's breaking into the cloud here. So looking great. Industrials keeps on making highs. Is probably going to end up going up higher. Financials keep making highs. It's probably going to end up going higher. 10-year yield looks exhausted. You're about to have a bearish cross here on the monthly Ichimoku cloud with the Tenkan Nikkei. It's probably going to come down to like maybe 3% is kind of where I'm seeing. Looks like a big giant round at the top, right? If you look at the weekly Ichimoku cloud, that's going to give you a very clear picture in terms of what's happening. GME. Is GEO a crypto by any chance? Man, you guys are just going off here. Okay, so without further ado, 10-year lower high, lower low, looks like it's just getting rejected here. The cloud probably gonna end up breaking underneath the cloud and go down lower. And you're hitting some, the red cloud over here. This whole thing the whole structure just looks completely exhausted. I think in 10 years go down lower. Gold, what is it doing? Very important thing to talk about. Not really. I don't really care about gold that much. But let's go to the monthly chart here. What is really transpiring is that if I take away the Ichimoku cloud, it's going to give you a pretty clear picture in case if there are any gold bugs here. It's been gravitating from arc to arc, and that's exactly what it's been doing. It's bounced from this arc here, broke through the horizontal, so it's probably going to gravitate up here to this arc up here eventually, right? I don't know when it's going to hit, but right now it's hitting. It's basically hitting resistance here at the 1.618 almost perfectly, right? So it might end up being chopped through here for a little bit before going up higher. I'm not invested in gold, but I just kind of want to go through that now. With that prison, it's a prison business. Oh yeah, I know that stock. Okay, cool. Yeah, you want to talk about prison stocks? I can certainly do that. If you are interested in my thoughts on the big stocks like Tesla, Nvidia, and Palantir, I just made a video about 25 minutes long, kind of comparing them all. So I'm probably going to skip that if you guys are requesting that. Somebody was requesting SE before I came on. This is the C company here. I got to say that this looks pretty bullish. Like there's really nothing else to really say about that. We had a bullish cross here on Tenkan and Kijun on the monthly on the Ichimoku cloud. I think it's probably gravitating up here to the 136 level over in maybe Q2 of 2025 is where price looks like it wants to get to after it's done this correction, right? Right now it's maybe a little bit overextended. The way I see whether or not it's overextended is just do a Bollinger Band. Right now it's just a little tiny bit overextended, just basically cooling down here for a little bit. And if you're also looking at the, let's see here, on the weekly chart here, weekly doesn't look too overextended. It's just basically cooling down this move over here. And it's probably looking to find some support underneath to backtest, including maybe like the Tenkan Kijun over here. Overall, this is a breakout of this horizontal zone over here that's been served as resistance over here back in March, April, May 2023. And basically the entire thing looks very much of like a little bit of like a head and shoulder. I don't know whether or not it's going to make a little bit of like a right shoulder here, maybe backtest the cloud a little bit before going. I doubt it. At this point in the game, I doubt it because things are looking more and more bullish. Even if it comes back down, I think you're going to find some pretty good support around like the mid 80s, which is right around the zone over here, and also where the overall support band is at right now. So I think it's probably going to go higher from here on out. If you ask me about target, well, it depends on where you want it to go in terms of taking profits. I think it's now that it broke above the 0.382 pretty convincingly. There's always a chance for the back test of 0.382, which is a pretty important fit level, currently around $85.40. You can come down and back test it, and if it's able to hold, it's probably going to push through either the 0.618 or 0.786 or bounce around here for a while before figuring out which direction, up or down. So I think that right now the downside risk is relatively low. You may be like $8 down to like $85. Upside risk, you're talking about potentially like 30-40% after it's done consolidating here. So I think the risk reward ratio is pretty decent. Could it go down further? Sure it can, but I just see it making higher highs and higher lows. I don't know whether or not it has to go down that much further. If it goes down further, possible, just like it can always go through like breaks about like the 0.786 and go a lot higher, right? But it's been making higher highs and higher lows. I just think that the benefits or the favor goes to the bull at this point. That's SE. Let's talk about. You guys want to talk about Ethereum? Let's go ahead and talk about Ethereum then. You talk about Ethereum. I'm also going to talk about Bitcoin here in a little bit here too. First of all, you want to talk about Ethereum. I just sorry, I just got to look at a little bit of a higher time frame. This is not surprising because I have mentioned all these wicks down below. These are very, very bullish things. When you see like a little bit of a Triton here, it actually is like got 4 wicks down below, kind of like here, very bullish. It's basically been hovering around support for a very long time, and right now you're hitting a little bit closer to resistance, right? Whereas the resistance that is at the monthly Tenkan. Monthly Tenkan right now is $3,103. 0.70 cents. So right now you're maybe hitting a little bit of resistance here. You are flipping the support here to resistance, right? Yeah, a little bit worrisome, but I think it's probably going to push through. Maybe need a little bit more time. But over here, yeah, it's found some critical support. Hold the cloud here perfectly, right? Not just the Ichimoku, but also the Super Ichi. Like it held the Super Ichi here perfectly. It also is finding resistance here with Super Ichi Tenkan, right? So yeah, a little bit range bound, but I think it's probably going to be pushing through. The other thing too is you look at like how it's been doing is flip the 20-month moving average from a negative 20-month moving average resistance here to support. It bounced right off of it. All of these things are very bullish. Resistance turns support, very bullish, right? So right now it's stuck in a range a little bit. Are you going to trust the Ichimoku range where a little bit underneath resistance here? Or are you going to trust the fact that it's bounced off the cloud and you have a rising 20-month moving average pushing the price up higher? Which one are you going to believe? I'm going to believe that we found very critical support and that we're going higher from here. Another reason why I believe that is also, if you look at the Fibonacci, it's also basically not doing anything surprising at all because it's just bounced right off of the 0.618. And it's probably going to end up wanting to gravitate up to the 0.786. Right now, I think we're hitting a little bit of a snag, if you will, but I think eventually pricing I'm probably going to gravitating up towards the 0.786. Last time we had a little bit of a false breakout. I think this time we probably end up going to break above that and go a lot higher. It's kind of what I'm seeing. Now, if you ask me what the target is, if you break above 0.786, if Bitcoin continues to beast to 175 to 200,000, which I think is possible, we're going to talk a little bit about that in a little bit. If it breaks above 0.786, and then you're talking about all-time highs, then you're talking about potentially like the log Fib 1.618, which is going to be around like 14,000. It's possible. If you say that's a little bit crazy for me, is there any other levels before that? Because I don't believe it's going to go up there. Yes, there is. If you do a linear Fib, you can see like some of the levels up here, 7,000, 11,000, 15,000. It could all exceed my expectations. Like it doesn't have to do any of this, or it can end up just getting up to like 0.786, and next thing you know, like for whatever reason, like some kind of global liquidity crisis, it just end up making a double top and go down, right? But overall trend, higher highs, higher lows, critical support found, right? On the 0.618, on the rising 20-month moving average, on the Ichimoku cloud, on the Super Ichi cloud, all of that on very much on a higher time frame. I'm going to give Ethereum benefit of the doubt. I think it's probably going to push through by the end of the year, maybe challenge 0.786 by the end of the year, maybe even pushing through by the end of the year, and gets pretty bullish into 2025. That's kind of what I'm thinking with Ethereum. I have a lot of Ethereum, not a lot, but I have Ethereum, and currently Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin. The reason why I think Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin is because I think it's finally hit the horizontal zone over here. We had a breakout over here with this Ethereum over Bitcoin chart. This is a ratio chart. Ethereum over Bitcoin is finally, broken out here around like April 2021. And right now you got a little bit of exhaustion here. It kind of came back tested the whole horizontal zone over here. That dates back all the way to like 2016. Finding support here. All of this is happening on a little bit of a bullish divergence here too. Ratio went down, bullish divergence. Right now you got a little bit of a bullish engulfing candle here on the 2-week as well. What happened last time when the ratio kept going up on bearish divergence, it just ended up plummeting down here for a couple of years. So I think it's time for Ethereum to be able to start shining, especially when people are just kind of talking trash about it. That's what I think about Ethereum. Move on to the next one. What is HITI? HITI? No idea what it is. A little bit of bearish divergence here on the 2-week chart. Let me go in the weekly here. Yeah, it's basically just hitting a resistance level here that's expected. But it's been forming a big giant cup over here. Like this is a very, very bullish structure. I'm not going to bet against this. I don't think it has to go down that much further, even if it has to cool down. I'm going to pull up some of the other indicators here on the monthly. You can see this is clearly, like higher highs and higher lows, following a pretty decent trend here. You have an expansion of the Bollinger Band, 20-month moving average, flipping up as support. This thing's probably going to go higher. If you were talking about what you're going to talk about here is it's breaking about the 0.382. I don't know whether or not 0.382 is going to hold or not, but I think it might. If it doesn't, that's okay. This is still a bull trend. You might end up coming back down to the Tenkan Kijun down here. You had a bullish crossover here, so this is going to serve as tailwind to probably push price up here to 0.5, maybe even a little bit higher to 0.618. Give it some time, hit the bottom of the monthly Ichimoku cloud. The level is going to be 3.7 and 5.0. If it breaks about all that, 7.7. These are the numbers to kind of pay attention to. If it comes back down and back test the Tenkan or the Kijun down here, or even going back to the 0.38, the 0.236 here, God forbid, it's going to be 2.34, 2.08, and 1.89. I think the upside risk is probably higher than the downside risk because this is a bull trend and because the 20-month moving average is slipping up because you had a bullish cross on Ichimoku. You're probably going to do okay. Zooming in here a little bit, you see how price closed last week right at the 0.382, almost like to the dot, right? If you look at the Ichimoku here, you see how it just bounced off the weekly Tenkan here almost to the dot, right? So all of these things mean something. We'll see whether or not this level holds. There's a potential that it holds because they're already kind of back test where you need a back test. It already broke out this resistance zone over here and back tested here at 0.382, right? Very beautiful. If it ends up holding here, then it's going to go up a lot higher. And those are levels to pay attention to. Quick eyeball for Hood. Okay, I'm going to chop that down to mention 32 and 36. I'm going to give you some levels here. Maybe a little bit more precise this time. Snow. What do I think about Snow? What I think about Snow is really I don't trust Snow yet. I like this trident bottom. I like this formation. Do I think that is bottomed? I don't know. But I like that it's way far away from the Tenkan Kijun. It's extended way down to the downside. I like the fact that it's touched the low and Bollinger Band here a couple of times and trying to bounce. I don't like the fact that it's looking like a little bit of a bull flag. I can't guarantee that it's bottom, but I like this bottom formation. I think at least for a trade, you can consider entering here if it ends up having a little bit reverse into the mean, back to a negative sloping 20-month moving average, which is going to be resistance. I don't know when the price is going to end up meeting 20-month moving average. If it give it another like 3 to 4 months, I see 20-month moving average potentially going down to like the 140s, and price can eventually end up pushing up there, and it might end up getting rejected. It might form a double bottom, or it might form a lower low. I do not know. If it ends up meeting, and if it ends up just going sideways here for a very long time, and the 20-moving average started to turn flat, then you're having a possibility of getting over that 20-moving average, flip a flattening 20-moving average as resistance to support, and then go up higher. Regardless, it's not going to happen over the next 2 quarters. I think it could go up, but I think that would be a little bit more or less like a dead cat bounce that's tradable. You are on the weekly here, potentially flipping the weekly Tenkan from resistance to support, right? If it's able to really try to do that, and I think it's possible. I think that because you have 1, 2, 3 candles over here that didn't really break down further than this candle over here, because you have 3 very nice wicks down here. I do think that most likely, and I can't guarantee you that, most likely price will end up going up here, and it might end up getting rejected here at the Kijun around like the 130s. I think that's entirely a possibility. If it breaks above that, then you talk about the cloud over here, like in the 150s, right? But this is but the thing about Snowflake and the thing about these stocks is, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? If I'm wrong, and if it doesn't hit these levels, then it's going to make a lower low, right? If I'm wrong, if it doesn't hit these levels over here, it's still a downtrend, right? And I can't guarantee you that if you're going to wait, it's going to be okay. I just cannot guarantee you that, right? Just because it's a downtrend, and it's hitting some resistance here. But again, the 20-week moving average is resistance, but it's turning a little bit more positive. It's not as negative sloping like it was over here. So there's a chance for you to break above, maybe get to the 130s, get rejected, and then go down further. That's kind of my look into it. If I was getting to it, I think it would be more like a trade. And that's not a bad trade. You can have like a plus 8% day, and everybody's like super bullish on Snowflake, and it's still a downtrend. So, be a little bit careful. I just can't really guarantee that as bottom. So those are the 3 stock that you requested. GME. I bought 10 shares of GME on Friday. Why did I do that? Well, I mean, DOGE is starting to pump. I got to put some meme money somewhere, right? Naturally, I think this is probably going to be a little bit of I'm gonna jot down margin call. You got some requests for me here too. Whew, you guys are making me work. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Cross GME. Okay. So GME, I bought 10 shares of GME. Why did I buy 10 shares of GME? Because I actually see that something a little bit more bullish here developing. What I'm seeing here is that it's been forming a higher high here. This is a weekly chart, by the way, forming higher high here compared to all these highs over here, and also form a higher low over here compared to this low over here. So this is like officially flipping from a bear market to a bull market, right? How do I know that? Looking at the 20-month moving average. By the way, all these candles, like all these 40-something candles, are all inside candles. A big giant green candle over here back in January 2021. And when you have inside candles, once it's done consolidating, which I think it will, then the next move out of this candle should be continuation of the primary trend. What is the primary trend? Is up, right? Because higher high here compared to here, higher low here compared to here, right? So the next trend, once it breaks above this inside candle here, is probably going to be up. You have a 20-month moving average that was initially negative sloping surface, resistance, flipping to support. This is a really beautiful setup. Nice tweezer, trident bottom, whatever you call it. So far, you have a pretty nice bounce. I think minimally is probably going to go to like the upper Bollinger Band here on the monthly to close the month around like 28. That's what I think. If you look a little bit closer to the weekly, why I have these arrows over here is because the Bollinger Band is squeezing. When you have low volatility, which GME has had low volatility over the last 20 months, the Bollinger Band squeezes. And whenever you have Bollinger Band squeezing, that means that a big move is coming because it can't just squeeze forever. It's going to have to break out at some point. And whenever it squeezes for a very, very long time, which it has, it will break out. And whenever it breaks out, it depends on what the primary trend it wants to break out with, right? Monthly tells you that it is on the upper part of the Bollinger Band. So whenever this the weekly here breaks out, it's also about the 20-week moving average here, by the way, about the Bollinger support band. Very nicely flipping around support band from resistance here for a long time, from resistance here to support, right? Once you flip something from resistance to support, generally good things happen. The Bollinger Band is telling you something's squeezing, something big might be happening, and I think that it would probably favor the bulls when it does happen. Also, just looking at the fact that like Dogecoin has also pumped, global liquidity is increasing, Russell 2000 is going up. I think that this is going to be a pretty good setup moving forward. Now, if you ask me what the potential price targets are, it's a little bit tough. I'm going to say if you're going based on last cycle high to the cycle low, you can also see that right now we're having a hard time breaking about the 0.382, right? I really have three very important fit levels here: the 0.382, 0.618, and 0.786. Got rejected here at the 0.618 here back in June, right? Right now, it's just forming a cup trying to break about the 0.382. If you're able to get above it around like 2029, maybe even back test it here, then you're talking about trying to challenge the 0.618 here again around $46. Maybe you're able to break about $46.50. Then you're talking about challenging the 0.786 here around $70.78. If you're able to break that above, $564 is not impossible. It's not impossible. It's as insane as it sounds. But you ever break above those numbers and you talk about even like the linear, you can potentially hit like 189, 300, 410, 479. All these are possible targets. I do not know how far this bull trend, if it ends up really continuing, how far it would go. But I think that none of these numbers are really that fantastical to me. Just like I don't think that when price is up here around like 120, that like $9 is that fantastical. Like anything can happen. So I'm just being fair here. To be completely honest with you, I haven't done a GAN here for a while. I'm going to take a look at here with a GAN. I might end up continuing to DCA it into GME if it continues to stay around the 20 range. Even if it like breaks out to like the 30s, I might continue to like add onto it. One way to really do the GAN square is I'm going to do 180, and then here the number I'm going to do 10 and see whether or not it gives me any good market symmetry here, and it does. Basically broke through multiple arcs here, getting rejected here at this green arc here, got rejected here at the green arc and the angle here again. Right now just kind of hanging in space over here, finding support here on the weekly Ichimoku cloud, right? Well, so far it actually broke underneath of that, but that's okay because the cloud's thin above. I think it's probably going to be fine. I think it's probably going to end up pushing back up and get back closer to cloud here because it's so thin, which is actually what Dogecoin ended up doing recently. But you're seeing that things are kind of in the middle. So when things are here, it would be like, okay, could it come back down to like 15 to back test this horizontal, or is it going to go up to the arc, right? Hard to say. If you look at the 20-month moving average, I think it wants to go up higher, especially when the 20 moving average is flattening, when the bullish band is expanding here a little tiny bit. Probably going to end up hitting an arc up here, and then we're probably going to end up pushing through the arc, and probably end up hitting some of the higher levels up above, which is going to be like the 100s. I can totally see the end of the cycle being like 180 or something like that, which is the linear Fibonacci levels to pay attention to. I think the 1 by 6 minute is around 180s. I think that could be the end of the cycle if it ends up pushing to like the next level, which just ends up being a very parabolic move. I don't know if it's going to do, like, I don't think it's going to go to 1,000, but potentially hitting like the horizontal line up here, maybe a little bit above, kind of like wick a little bit above, kind of like that, to like 400, 500. And then you end up like having a pretty brutal down cycle here after that. I don't know, or it just ends up getting rejected here at the arc and it just end up doing nothing. Like, that's also a possibility, right? I do think that breaking down underneath the 20-month moving average, or even breaking down underneath like this line here around 15.5 is like the probability of this very, very low at this point. So GME, anyway, let's move on. GEO, the prison. Ooh, looks like it wants to break out of this prison. You knew I was going to say that. You knew I was going to say that. I'm not gonna apologize. GO is bullish, is overextended, but bullish band is expanding. I totally see that maybe correcting, cooling down sideways while waiting for the bullish band to continue to expand. I can totally see that, but this is a very bullish chart. Like, you forming a basically a yeah, tracker. It looks absolutely wild. I'm gonna say like it's I had to turn off the magnet here. I'm going to say that it's basically broken above this level over here. And this whole thing right here had the entire time had like a descending triangle look to it. So this is not surprising at all that it broke above and back tested it. None of this is surprising, right? And as soon as it does that, you basically have a very nice 20-month moving average rising up. This is a bull trend, and it's hitting a. I don't see it holding here for the month. I mean, there's so many horizontal resistance up here. I just don't see it holding the month, man. I don't know, like, but it's a bull trend. That's all I can say. Let me draw some. Let me take a look at other things here. I'm gonna get rid of the Bollinger Band here. Look at Ichimoku. This is a absolutely beautiful Ichimoku resistance breakout. Whenever breakout resistance here that's been hovering here for like 6 months, very strong breakout. Are we at any kind of like major resistance besides the fact that it's way outside the upper Bollinger Band? We can look at a couple of ways. One is to look at a fib retracement. I need to turn on the magnet for this one. One is to look at a fib retracement here. It's kind of broken about the 0.786. Kind of broke about this horizontal zone here. I don't know if this is sustainable. There's a potential chance for it to just kind of wick above and just kind of stay inside of 0.786. Because if you break about 0.786, like then you're mooning, then you're talking about like going a lot higher. But I think it's way outside the upper Bollinger Band. I think I would not enter here. If I have this stock, I'm probably just going to hold, because it clearly is a bull trend. It clearly wants to keep going higher over time, but I just don't want to like trade in and out, because I can totally see it potentially come back down here, closer month under 0.786, and have a hard time hovering here before breaking out, or come back down back test the 0.618 level here, back test this level here, which is also the Ichimoku cloud, right? I can come back, I can see it totally doing that, but it doesn't have to. I'm probably just going to hold on to it. Just know your downside. There's a lot of potential downside here because it's overextended, but the trend is strong. So if this is one of those situations after a big giant breakout like that, I just hold. Like, it's not financial advice, but I just hold, because I don't know, like, it doesn't have to back test the stuff down underneath, but I'm just gonna like keep holding and just kind of see what it does. Very interesting. Very interesting. Aren't they like a big dividend payer too? I thought they were many years ago when I was looking at that, when I care about dividends. SLNH. It is trying to develop a bull trend. It is not confirmingly bullish yet. I never like to be too bullish until the 20-month moving average is becoming flatter. Because even if this is the very much of like the bottom over here, there's no guarantee that it won't make a higher low, because the 20-month moving average is still slipping down. Yeah, I know it looks like an Adam and Eve. I think it's gonna go higher. I just think it's a little bit overextended right now with GEO. But yeah, going back to SNH, I think that the Bollinger Band is kind of getting squeezing and tighter. A big move is coming, and it looks like it wants to do a trend change here because it's becoming less negative sloping. But it could still be resistance here. It might get rejected here around 4. It might go down further after that, right? But it's just something to kind of consider. Maybe a little bit patience, but again, like I don't know. Like sometimes it doesn't have to do what I want it to do. Like JD, it doesn't care. It doesn't care about the negative smoking like 20-month moving average. It's just decided to do its thing, right? So I can't really say that it's not going to just bust up, but probability wise speaking, you're probably going to end up having um, a little bit of um, a little bit of a rejection here before flipping it from resistance to support before going higher. Tracker, why are you paying for a membership and working for free, dude? Tracker, you're so interesting, dude. What are you doing? I mean, all right, all right. So I got done with these. I think Vivian's question was Robinhood. Give her better levels. Well, thank you for dropping by. Thank you, collaborator Tracker. Let's do a couple things. I already have the fib levels drawn here. So yeah, do I have anything between the yeah? So the next level is going to be the 0.618. I did that for Danny, by the way. 0.618 is just $32.41. For the fib level on log, for the fib level for linear is going to be the 0.382, which is $36.68, right? So I think those are going to be like the immediate levels. $32.41. Those are probably going to be the immediate levels to pay attention to. I want to say that the linear may be a little bit more relevant because you have a little bit more price history right here around like 35, 36. And I'm also going to pull up the yeah, I'm also going to pull up the volume shelf here. It's hard to say. I think around 32 or 36, somewhere around here, you have a little bit of volume shelf there, but not much price history here to really be like that concerned about. But just based on nature and based on Fibonacci, those are probably kind of levels that you're looking at. Another way to illustrate this is if I do the weekly. Hey, let me just drink a sip of water here. Tracker, are you loving the Cantonese cat emoji? Oh man, this is fun. If I do the if I do a GAN here on log, and I'm gonna pick more levels. I'm gonna pick like 360, which is a key multiple of 45. And here I'm just gonna do like 0.5 to see whether or not it gives me any market symmetry here. Yeah, that's okay. I'm gonna do 1. So if you do 1, yeah, pretty good angle symmetry. That's pretty decent. Got support here. Angle here held. Angle here was pretty important. Where's the next level at? Around 33.47, right here on the GAN. So anywhere between like those numbers I was mentioning to you, Vivian, maybe a resistance level here. And I think that one more thing is you're still kind of going up a little bit on on bearish divergence here. So yeah, you might end up getting rejected here. I don't know. I don't want to bet against Robinhood long term. Short term, if you're really trying to like look for exit points, those might be the kind of levels that you're looking at. But long term, like this thing is like super bullish. The RSI on a monthly is just in the 60s, and it looks like it wants to go higher. Back to the Tenkan Kijun. Tenkan is like super rising here. 20-month moving average pointing up. Upper Bollinger Band is expanding. Low Bollinger Band is expanding. This thing's going higher over time. it could pull up like a pound here, and it just can keep going up higher. So I don't know. I know you might be looking to like maybe switch from like your hood calls to something else and look for exit point, but yeah, I have hood shares. I'm just going to hold on to it. FDIG margin call FDIG. After this, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin, and I'm going to talk about miners. I'm going to talk about Coinbase, and I'm going to talk about MSTR. Unless if any of y'all like curious folks like want to do more chart requests, but I think those are things I generally like to go through because people care about that kind of stuff. It's a bull trend. FDIG is a bull trend. 20-minute moving average keeps on going up. Bollinger Band, upper Bollinger Band continues to expand. It's a bull trend. Ichimoku Tenkan as support, not overextended here on the Ichimoku. On the Bollinger Band, maybe a little bit overextended, but it's going up. So I think it's probably going to continue to go up here over time. Looking at like a lower time frame here, what do I see? Ichimoku, it's just been bouncing off the Ichimoku. Very nice bullish engulfing candle here. Then engulfed the last 2 weeks, and you had a bullish crossover here. So yeah, looking pretty decent. I think that you are hitting like some resistance level here. It's kind of an interesting stock because I don't really have a whole lot of like. I'm going to go back to the monthly. I don't really have a whole lot of history to chart. So what I'm going to do here, I'll do two things. One is look at a Fibonacci to see if I see anything interesting from the start here to the bottom. And right now it's hitting the 1.618. This is why it's having a hard time breaking above. This is why it got rejected over here back in July. Does it have enough juice to break above and just go up to the next level? Maybe. Does it get rejected and then come back down to 1.414? This is also why like you're having these rejection candles over here because of the 1.414 here as well. So those are kind of like the risk level. I can totally see it coming back back test to 1.414 around $32.27 before going up. If it ends up breaking above, and it could very well break above, because depending on how you look at things, some people would draw like, oh, I mean, throw on a magnet here. Some people would be like, oh, this is totally like an ascending wedge. It's going to break down, whatever. And then some people like maybe drawing like an ascending triangle, which would be a completely different flavor, right? Yeah, it's a wedge over here. Well, if you take into consideration, it's just been getting rejected here, the 414, and it's finally breaking above. This is a very bullish thing, and it could end up finding some support back down here and even wick down here below. I've also seen ascending triangle kind of like going up here, hit a false breakout, break down below, back test the angle, the triangle at the bottom part over here, and then go higher, right? So those are kind of the things I'm seeing here, but I think this is a bullish stock. And if you're talking about breaking up off the 1.618, then you talk about $45.84, and you talk about $51.32. Those are some of the potential targets. But your downside risk, previous all-time high, maybe. I doubt it. It could. By previous all-time, I mean like IPO price. Or 1.414, which is around $32.27. And then maybe somewhere in between $32 and $25, somewhere around there. That's kind of what I see here with this stock. It's been a 40-minute mark. I have drunk a lot of water, and you know what that means. I'm going to talk about WGMI, but before I do, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin first. I'm going to go ahead and show you the Bitcoin chart that I have here. Actually, let me show a higher time frame Bitcoin chart here with Bitstamp, which I have these like arrows here. I don't know what they mean anymore. I'm going to zoom this out. Oh, I know what that means. That's okay. I'm going to zoom this out, and I'm going to go P. I will be right back. I do have to apologize. I missed some of the chart requests. I'm going to go ahead and knock them out real quick. You asked you asked about Workday. Let's look at Workday. Workday, I have some arrows here. I wonder why I drew that for. I probably looked at it from a long time ago. Just zooming out here, I probably drew that because I thought that this area here looked very similar to this area over here. Looking at the higher time frame on the monthly, I think it did what it had to do, which is that it got way overextended. It was a little bit exhausted here on this top in like November 2021. And it just simply had to come back down, back test the cloud, held the cloud, went back above of it, and trying to break above the Tenkan and Kitchen, trying to go up higher, break its all-time high here, unable to do so. Come back down here, back test the cloud here, build up a lot more energy and try and push through. And right now we're still having a little hard time trying to break above the monthly Tenkan here. So it's working on it, but I cannot be that bearish on the on this chart. You're also seeing that the 20-month moving average have flipped from resistance over here during the 2022 2022 bear market. Even in 2023 initially got rejected here, but then it broke through, right? Basically just doing a little bit back test here. Not anything scary. Some people would scare you and say this looks like a diamond top over here and that it has to go down. I think trend actually favors to the upside, and currently you have bullish engulfing candle here for the month of November. So I'm actually going to favor like breakout of this diamond and have like a diamond continuation pattern. That's kind of what I'm seeing here in a nutshell. Let's look a little bit into more detail here. You had a weekly candle that is very much of a bullish engulfing candle. Last week you had a hammer bottom candle here. Somebody knew something. Maybe they knew that Trump won or something. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting looking at these kinds of things. Ichimoku cloud in a short term, you're still trying to break above the Ichimoku cloud resistance here. Let's see if we have enough juice trying to break through. You have a area of vulnerability here at the cloud. Generally, you have the cloud that's very thin like that. You might have an area where you can break through, or maybe even back test and support and go up higher. I'm not that bearish because I think you have a very much of a bullish engulfing. Like you have basically like a big giant candle over here. You have how many weeks of price action? Like 10 weeks, right? Volume is like plummeted down. You have basically this high volume pushed up right here, and you have low volume sell off, and you have all these wicks down below. And they spend like 2.5 months trying to break underneath this candle over here to unable to do so. And there's a bullish engulfing candle here. This is nothing surprising. So because of this, I think you're going to end up breaking above this horizontal resistance zone over here. I think you're going to end up going higher because of that, right? Just looking at like a overall higher bird's eye view kind of thing, if you will. If you want to do a Fibonacci, I need to turn on my magnet so I can just have the mouse automatically draw the right level. Again, got rejected here, previous all-time high, came back down, back test the 0.5, held, and back test the 0.618, held. It's going to go to the 0.786 around 270. It's going to gravitate up there, I think. We'll see when it breaks through. After it got rejected here once, maybe the second time's a charm. After form a higher high, not higher high per se, I guess if you compare it over here, but this is definitely higher low. Maybe it has enough energy to kind of push through about the 0.786 back test and go higher. But the 0.786 is going to be almost like a requirement. You have to break that before you can reach some of the higher levels up here in like 380, 418. I do think that it's still a relatively bullish setup based on like lower time frame chart. Based on higher time frame, also doesn't look bad. It just doesn't have that momentum to like go up like a lot quite just yet. So that's Workday. EWBC. I have no idea what this is. Okay, higher level. It's a bullish chart. I don't have to say anything. The question is it overextended? It could be, but bullish band is expanding, so I don't think it's that overextended. If you're looking at the Ichimoku, it's a little bit overextended from the Tenkan, which I don't like, but it's probably gonna go higher. I think like sometimes you just get these like crazy movement where you get like a bunch of candles kind of boom, 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 right? This looks like IWM, by the way. So this is probably a small cap stock that is correlated with IWM, is broken about to its all-time high already. No question is bullish, right? The question is more like, where are you going to find resistance at? I think it probably has enough juice to maybe go to like 118 to 130 before really like hitting resistance. Because I really don't think it's that like overextended. I think the bull trend is just starting. So it's probably go up here to these levels here before really hitting some serious resistance. And you can have some pretty brutal correction, or you can have correction here. I don't know. I mean, like I can't say for sure, but most likely the momentum is on the upside. So we'll see. It's a bullish chart. Downside, it already back tested 0.786, so I don't think it has to do that. It could potentially come back to like $83.50 to back test the all-time high before going up higher, or it can end up hitting like some of these levels up here and come back test, but it doesn't have to. Once things going, once you have like a very nice Bollinger Band expansion in the week and the monthly, and the 20-month moving average crawling up, it can end up going higher before even taking a pulse. That's EWBC. OKTA. I think Jesse was like really into this stock at some point. Monthly. Yeah, initially it was like, okay, 20-month moving average flipped from resistance to support, broke down underneath support, have a very nice volume shelf over here of support, right? I don't think it's going to break down below this. This is probably going to be a very, very good buying zone. Not financial advice, but I think this is going to be a very, very strong support zone over here. And if you are talking about, this is a little bit higher low compared over here too. So this is actually a pretty, oh, Ethereum. Wow, Ethereum's beasting. Cool. All right, cool. Yeah, we'll go back to that here a little bit. It's back testing the volume shelf over here, looking pretty decent. So yeah, if you want to buy, I think it's not a bad idea. It's still underneath low resistance here at the Tenkan Kijun though. So it might be bottoming, but it might not be that impulsive. But if you buy here, if you're patient, I think it's going to end up gravitating up to the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud here. Depending where it hits, it's probably going to be around 120 or something like that. Probably sometime in 2025 is my best guess, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking here with OKTA. Moving on to DDOG. Man, you guys just throw these chart requests like it's oh, do you want targets for BA and QS? I can talk about that too. BA, QS. I keep missing these chart requests. If I miss it, please let me know. What do I have here? Oh, yeah, I have all these drawings here from before. Yeah, I draw a lot of charts, and then I just kind of leave them there because I'm dirty. This is a bullish chart. It's trying to break above this leading span A here. There's just a bottom of this immature Ichimoku cloud. It has been rejected here for like 8-9 months now. I think it's going to break through. I don't know when, but it's a pretty bullish look. I love this like back-to-back dragonfly like doji candles. I love that, and also love that during the entire process is holding the 20-month moving average greatly. Like I already knew that before I like even pull it up. It's holding it up and it's bouncing off of it, so it's probably got enough juice to kind of break above. Yeah, I think it's going to break above, and I think November or December might be the month to do it. It's just waiting for the indexes and the QQQ to kind of break above. But this is very much of an uptrend. There's increasing demand is attacking the supply zone over here. There's really nothing to get too bearish about. If it goes down, and again, like if you look at the weekly here too, it's just basically came back down, back tested weekly Ichimoku cloud, and just bounced Ichimoku cloud, right? If it comes down, you can potentially come down to these like Tenkan Kijun down here around 116. There's always a risk for it to go down to like 107 from a little bit of like head and shoulder before going up, right? Because 107 is basically just what this level is over here, right? So I can totally see that potentially happen. Does it have to? No, because it's at the Ichimoku cloud over here. It's got the Tenkan Kijun here as support. So we'll see what happens. But I think it's going to break out. And if you're looking for certain levels for you to like think about, I'm going to just do, yeah, so right now it's trying to break about the 0.5. I think it's going to gravitate to 0.618 here around 146.83. That's where I think it's going. So after that, we'll see. IOVA. Am I ever going to get to do like Bitcoin? Am I ever going to get to do like miners? You guys are just requesting away. No, I love it. I did this on a monthly. I did this again on a monthly. So 360 and 1. I've done this before. So let's zoom in and see what we're seeing here. What we're seeing here is some pretty decent market symmetry. Bounce from ARK, false breakout on the ARK, rejected here at the angle, came back down, went to the bottom of this ARK over here, bounced at the horizontal ARK, pushed back above, got rejected here at the ARK like magic, came back down, held the 45 angle as support, and right now is kind of right at the horizontal line over here of the GAN. So you're basically back testing a ton of support. We had a little bit of a false breakout here, or not false breakout, a little bit of a challenge with the ARK over here. It's going to grab it up to the ARK. Probably going to be around like $14. That's where I see going. How it's going to go, I don't know. There's a big zone over here. There's a huge zone over there. I don't know how it's going to go. There's a huge confluence zone over here. I think it's probably going to break up out of it, but I can't guarantee you that just because it's very, very busy here. Like the 0.236 is right there. You back to the 0.136 held, right? And so it's hard for me to say. So this is also not on, if you do like a lock scale, I can see like this is a very confluent zone of like a lot of resistance, 0.5, 0.6.8. It probably would need a little bit more energy to kind of break through above. Unless you have a God candle of some kind, push through all these resistance. So probably gonna try to figure things out here until like early 2025. If it's able to figure out things until early 2025, then you're talking about $29.61. And then you think about the $29.61. You're talking about the ARK up here, right? So a lot of potential upsides. Do I think that this had like bottom here potentially? Very nice 3 wicks down here. I think it probably at bottom. Got a lot of support here underneath. So I think it probably would be fine, but maybe a little bit more patience is needed because I see it potentially range bound here for Q4 and maybe Q1 of 2025. That's what I think. So did I miss anybody? Ethereum is going crazy. I'm going to go back to Ethereum and take a quick look at it. Oh, actually, I need to go back to Vivian's BA and QS. Ethereum, what is it doing right now? Looking at Ichimoku at resistance. A little bit above resistance. It's okay. It's pushed through the monthly Tenkan here again. Monthly thing at 3,103.7. The Supichi, yeah, it'd be nice if we were able to push to. I think it wants to go to 0.786. I think it wants to go to $3,376. That's what it looks like it's wanting to do. And I already knew that Ethereum was going to push out because if you do the liquidation map here, and I was looking at Ethereum, I posted on X earlier too. Like you knew Ethereum was going to push out because there was just a lot of like leverage. There's just a lot of leverage up here. Now though, you have like all these leverage longs that are going to win. I don't know. Like is this just a weekend fake pump and just going to come back down and close the gap and go back to like 2,800 and 80 or something like that? Possible. But like so far, the liquidity grab is to the upside, so they just went for it. I don't know whether or not it's come back down. I'm telling you, like you got some resistance levels over here. You got some resistance level on the Supichi, So I don't know. You got some resistance level here, so I don't know if it's just going to push through. If it does, then it's going to grab it to 0.76. Probably going to get rejected there too. So if you are like a trader, you want to take profits, those are some of the zones to kind of pay attention to. All right, BA. Let's see here. So specifically, you want to look at BA and QS targets potentially. No one knows for sure. I did this BA chart, which my naughty unpaid intern had shared on X. 720 and 2, pretty good market symmetry. Basically, it's been doing nothing for like 3-4 years. And it's just been bouncing from like ARK to angle to ARK to angle. Right now, you're probably at a pretty decent support here. I don't think it's going to go down that much further. First level has to break through is this level over here around like 157, right? Because it's right at this GAN support level over here. So if I take the GAN out and and I think it's bottom because it's bounced very nicely from the angle. But if you take the GAN out, you just take a look at like Fibonacci level here. And I have to be a little bit more precise here. If I do a monthly, it's probably going to give me a little bit more precise level. Yep, there you go. Right now, I would say that was 157, and this 0.382 here on log scale is 164.73. Right. If it goes down, it breaks down. The next level underneath is 130, just around at 130. 130, 164.7, 0.5 is 199.24. Sometimes you get a little bit more different number if you do a linear scale. So in linear scale, it would be 173.25, right? So, and then the downside risk potentially be 137.55. Those are kind of the numbers I'm seeing here for BA. QS is a little bit tough because I can't really do like Fibonacci levels per se. QS is just basically having this like inside candles, but and if I do again, it's also not going to give me too much. The QS is a little bit tough for me to give you like levels. I think the best thing to do is I just switch to the weekly here and look at the moving averages here, give you like a rough idea. You have all these like flattening 150 and 20. Right now, 100 right now is, and these were dynamic, right? Because they're moving. But 100 is going to be, sorry, 6.73. 50 is going to be 6.15, and the 20 is going to be 5.94. I think those are some of the potential levels up above. The down level here, right now we are at this current level. I think like it's the support is going to be around like 4s to 5s. Like that's all I can say until it like really completely reversed, until it like clearly on this we try at 20 above 50 above 100, which I think can happen soon. All it takes just like another like god candle and just kind of back test stuff and go up, because that's what happened to Zoom. Like you just have like this big giant candle and it just kind of back test and it just ran, right? So I think the same thing is probably going to happen in QS, but I don't know when it's going to be. But those are like the resistance levels, about if that's what you're asking. I think the target 6 months. That would be the immediate next level fit level. If it ends up breakout above all those resistance levels, you can do this big giant wake up here. You can do the all-time low over here. And this is going to be like crazy because I need to do a lock scale to give you better fibs. I think it needs to break about the 0.136, which is $7.36. I can see potentially if it ends up reversing and it ends up going up a lot, it can potentially hit this level up here around like $10.29, roughly, right? You can see like it doesn't really hit roughly over here in these wicks, but roughly those are kind of like the numbers that I'm kind of looking at here. The Ichimoku cloud, the Tenkan over here is around 7.1, and the Kijun over here is around 9.27. So those are also some potential numbers as some of the targets over the next 6 months or so. Oxy, man, Livestream are rough, guys. I have drawn this before, and I don't really like oil and gas stocks because oil and gas has been looking weak. Like all these commodities have been looking weak. With that said, when I did the scan a while back, 14401, and this is a monthly because there's a lot of price history here. What I thought was it's just been stuck at this arc over here, and there's a potential for it to even like come back test the arc over here. Why is it not doing that? Is because, well, the Ichimoku clouds right here is serving as support here on the monthly. You had to break out the Ichimoku cloud and it's finally back testing it. This is not bearish, even though it's bearish. I have to stay objective here. It's not bearish. I have to say, unless if it breaks underneath the cloud, then you might be like, I don't know. If it ends up breaking into the cloud, it'll probably still bounce back to the top of the cloud. And depending on how it reacts over there, if it ends up doing that and forms a lower high, then maybe you'll be a little bit cautious. Because I also don't like the fact that it's just rolling over and just been forming. If you look at a weekly chart, this is bearish, right? You can potentially come back test the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud here, but you might end up getting rejected and form more low high and lower lows. So I don't know if I would want to be in Oxy because it does look a little bit exhausted, right? Even though it's at Ichimoku cloud support, because it does have a very similar look like it did over here, where it came back and back test the cloud here and just have a feel like that cat bounces, and eventually it broke down, right? I think this looked a little bit exhausted to me, so I don't know if I want to get into it. The other way to look at it is also you look at the monthly Bollinger Band. This looks like it wants to roll over, right? This looks like it wants to roll over, and the only thing that's really prevented from just going all the way down to like a lot lower is because the lower Bollinger Band hasn't expanded yet. This looks like it wants lower prices than Bollinger Band expanding too. So just like I was showing you that the 20-month moving average for the other stocks, if they're rising and if the price is above the monthly on the upper part of the Bollinger Band, then I'm more favorable on it. This is the opposite of that. So I personally, I would not touch Oxy. I'm a little bit worried. If I'm in it, I'll probably end up trying to find an exit if it ends up bouncing up above and back test the negative sloping 20, maybe around like the high 50s. I'm gonna try to look for the exit point, but that's just me, not financial advice. It does have good dividend yields. I don't know how much further it's going to go if it ends up going down lower, but like 30s is possible. If I'm wrong, and if this ends up doing pretty well, then then you're talking about like I'm even talking about like higher targets. You're talking about like the all-time high over here is like 113. And you have all these highs over here. All these highs potentially be potential targets if it ends up doing that. But it's just been forming nothing but like lower highs for a very long time now. So I'm not favorable on this, and that's all I'm going to say about Oxy. AMSC. Very beautiful smile. This looks like a cat face. If I draw an eye here and an eye here, this is a bullish formation. And it's hitting resistance here at a very, very long-term resistance zone for a very long time. And the way I see it is I look at volume. And it's got more volume here compared to before. And looks like this lick up has some juice to it, right? So I don't think it's really been exhausted yet. I think there's a chance for this to kind of break out. And on top of that, it also has pretty convincingly flipped the monthly Ichimoku cloud from almost perfect resistance over here to the dollar. And it pushes through and it back tests it as support for 2 months in a row. It looks like it's running. So I think that it's going to break above this horizontal zone over here and go higher. Would it have some further rejection here and go down? Possible. Let's look at the lower time frame. What do we think here? If it goes down lower, where it's going to go? Maybe the Ichimoku cloud down here around 2021, 19. Possible, right? And that would still be a higher low compared to these little tiny candles over here. If it ends up breaking through the current level and go a lot higher, then then I'm wrong. Same thing. Bullish support band is going to catch up, and I think bullish support band has been hugging the price and pushing it up higher. So if it goes down, you might also even find support at like 25. That's kind of where I'm looking at. If you're looking at the higher time frame, if you're wondering about potential targets, if it breaks above, depends on you want to do like Fibonacci retracement from here or here. I'll do it from the all-time high just for like the sake of like just doing it. All-time highs to all-time lows. You're gonna get a very nice Fibonacci sequence. It's not very beautiful. It's not really respecting. Maybe it's more like using this level over here. I guess 0.5 is a pretty important level. $27. $27. Not 27, $37. If you're breaking above, then you're talking about 67. And you're breaking above that, you're talking about 159. But one level at a time, you're getting close to resistance here. So, be careful. Logans, what's up? I was trying to talk about Bitcoin, and then like a bunch of chart requests just kind of came my way. So I've been doing nothing but chart requests for the last hour. After talking about the market, actually, after talking about macro, I think I actually covered a lot of grounds here. So I'm not upset at that at all. Very happy that you all join and interact and trying to come up with requests. I want to talk about Bitcoin. Where do I think Bitcoin's going after it's bounced off of an arc like this over here, like this over here, like this over here? I think that is going to gravitate up to the next level, right? The last few cycles after you do this, it went to the next arc in the horizontal. After it did this, it went to the next arc. After it did this, could it just go to the horizontal and that's it? Possible, right? 200,000 potential target. Don't think it's going to go to like 500, 600,000, 700,000. I don't think it's going to happen this cycle. If it does, I will I'll still be here. Yes, I'll still be here. I don't know what else to say. If it does, I'll be very pleasantly surprised. I don't expect it, right? And this scan was drawn by 360 and 10,000 on Bitstamps if you want to reproduce. I don't care. Feel free to do that. But that's kind of where I'm seeing on a higher time frame here. On a lower time frame, Bitcoin is just beasting, man. I mean, I'm just looking at the previous. I'm going to do a weekly chart here. I'm looking at the cycle low over here, and I do again here, and you can see that it's really been just bouncing off of an angle. It just wants to keep going higher to like the next level is just going to be triple digits, not triple digits. It's going to be 6 digits, and it could happen as soon as Q1 of 2025. This whole consolidation over here, you've already backtested a ton of things like the weekly Ichimoku Cloud, Tenkan Kitchen, you backtested the Subisha Cloud past, flip it from resistance to support. You have backtested the bonus support band, initially went underneath of it, bounced off of it, went up a lot higher. This over here is almost like the exact fractal. This over here is almost the exact fractal as it is over here. So I think you're going to have some boom boom candles going up here over the next few months. And then Q1 is probably going to end up hitting like, 100K Bitcoin, which has been talked about for like 4 or 5 years. I cannot be bearish on this. You just broke about this big giant cup and handle here, or Bach, if you will. So I think it's probably going to go higher. What's going to happen if this goes higher? Well, somebody asked me about WGMI, which is the miner ETF. It's just been forming nothing but like either heads and shoulders, like inverted head and shoulders, or cup and handle, whatever you call it. These are all very bullish momentum, trying to push above. I would say this. Okay. So I actually have a GAN here. I would say this. If I have a GAN drawn here, is it based on weekly? I think it is 360 and 1. So you can see this. This GAN does have some good margin symmetry here. We broke above this arc over here. We also finally broke about this horizontal here, which we got rejected here previously, right? So where is it going to go? It's probably going to go to the arc up here in the 40s. Doesn't mean that it's going to go straight up there. It could come back and back test a little bit here, maybe even down here a little bit to 22.8. But based on the way that Bitcoin's doing right now, it could just keep going up, boom, 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 going to like 40s. And after that, 60. After that, to arc up here in like the 90s and 100. Which I think is possible for the cycle to hit, because the ETF has gone from like $4 up to like $28, all in the span of like a year and a half. So for it to just basically like double, triple, and quadruple is not really that hard to imagine. It can even go up higher, but I'm not going to go crazy. Higher highs and higher lows. This looks absolutely beautiful. I have nothing. I have no concerns about this miner ETF. Is probably going to make you money over time. Not financial advice. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm also in miners. You know what miners I'm in? One that cannot be traded. CleanSpark broke above the 0.618. Probably going to go to 0.786 again. Got rejected here before, but it's probably going to go to $21.50. We'd have to re-challenge that, but it cannot do that if the market is not allowing it to be traded. So we'll see what happens. Ultimately, I can see. I think this is a very much of like an inverted head and shoulder pattern here. I think it's going to go up a lot higher. Going back to the weekly here, I think it's really doing a bang up job reclaiming some of the previous resistance here back into support. It's reclaiming the bar and support band here. It's also going back to the monthly. It's also basically using the 20-month moving average, and again flip from resistance here to support. Right. It looks like it wants to go a lot higher. This looks very much of a bottomy type pattern over here. So I think minimally it's going to end up grounding back up to the upper Bollinger Band, which is like $21. A lot of things I'm seeing, like it wants to go back to 21, maybe a little bit higher. That's kind of what I'm seeing. The monthly Ichimoku Cloud would need to be attacked, but I think this time, because of this big giant correction and finding some pretty critical support here, I think we're probably end up pushing above the monthly, not Bollinger, but monthly Ichimoku Cloud and go a lot higher. I think we're getting ready to do that. And I think that the 100-week moving average has just been serving as some pretty magical support, if you will. Basically, resistance, support, right? So I think this thing is going a lot higher. Why did we end up stalling on Thursday? Well, even though you have a bullish engulfing candle here for 2 weeks, you did get rejected here on a rising 50-week moving average. I don't think it's going to last long because it's rising. Whenever it ends up getting traded again, unless it's like the news is like absolutely horrible or something like that, I think CleanSpark is probably going to do okay based on the technicals. Mara, bullish engulfing the last 2 weeks, right? Very nice, good volume, very nice. A little bit of inverted head and shoulder pattern looking thing here. Same thing. I talk about this over and over again. It is basically doing the same thing that CleanSpark is doing, reclaiming the bar support band, but getting rejected here at a rising 50. I think it's going to push through because it's rising. It's not going to be very strong resistance here at all. 100-week moving average, support, resistance, support, right? So because of that, I think you bounce off some pretty critical support here on the monthly. Same thing. You bounce off of a rising 20 very nicely, right? On the Ichimoku, you're reclaiming the kitchen here. You got a very nice trident looking bottom over here and another wick here for November. This looks very nice. I think it's going to break this range, and I think it's going to go higher. How high can it go? Well, I got to break through this Ichimoku cloud here. Currently is around like 27 by like February 2025. If it ends up going higher than that, earlier than that, December, $30, right? Do I think it's going to go from 20 to 30? It's Mara. It can do whatever it wants. Like if you can, if IWM goes like makes all time high, I would not be surprised if next thing you know, like Mara is just right at the bottom of Ichimoku cloud. And if it gets there, it challenges it and it has enough juice. If Bitcoin keeps going higher, if IWM keeps going higher, back into the cloud, back to swallowing the cloud, $40 in a hurry. Then you're talking about potentially some not all-time high but previous highs here. Looking at Fibonacci, what is it doing? It's finding support almost perfectly at 0.5, getting rejected here at 0.618. If it breaks above the Ichimoku cloud here at 0.786, then $300 more. No, actually, I don't know the answer to that. You're able to break out at 0.786, then you're talking about the previous all-time high and beyond. If it doesn't hit the $325, it can potentially hit some of the linear scale Fibonacci levels: 116, 133, 185, 213, 300. But the stipulation is that it has to break above the monthly Ichimoku cloud. Is it possible for it to do that in a hurry? Yes, because I have to remind you, Mara back in December 2022 was $3. It went from $3 to $33, $34 in a matter of like a year and a half. It can do that. It can triple, quadruple, even like 5 to 8x over the next 12 months. Is not impossible. It depends on if Bitcoin hits like 200,000, if IWM hits 300, right? Which is why I do these things at the very beginning, to kind of give you like an idea in terms of what the market is doing. Bitfarms is doing the exact same thing. It's like holding the 0.5, just like what Mara is doing. Like these are like, sorry, I need to change that back into the log here. These like Mara and Bitfarm is the same chart. So if somebody like talks to me about like Bitfarm fundamentals versus Mara, I just get bored. They're the same chart. I don't care. I even like don't even talk about like Bitfarms that much anymore because like it's finding support at rising 20. On Ichimoku is reclaiming the kitchen here, right? Deja vu, yeah, maybe. Top of the cloud, where is it? 0.786, around $5, right? Deja vu, yeah. Like, why do I even want to talk about that? If Bitfarm beats all-time high, can it go to $76? Probably not. I'm not that crazy. What are some of the targets that it breaks about 0.786? Then you're talking about maybe like $16 to end the cycle, $25.50 to end the cycle, $35 to end the cycle potentially. But you have to break about the here, and actually the linear is like 0.5, but you have to break about $5. If Bitfarms breaks about $5, then you're talking about some of these crazy higher targets here potentially to end the cycle. But that's the stipulation. You have to break $5. CIFR, very bullish. Getting close to rejection zone here at the 0.786, right? You remember what I was talking about, the 0.786 being very, very important. And I am just going to say that is working on it is try to do it once, is doing it twice, got a rising ticket here as tailwind. If it breaks about that, I don't think it's going to go to $151, but it breaks about the $7 zone. Last time I got it rejected here, linear 0.5 here to around like $8. It breaks about $7 to $8. Yeah, 24, 39, 54, 63. Yeah, possible targets, especially where Bitcoin is potentially going. I think all these are possible targets. Again, don't forget that it was 37 cents back in December 2022. It went from 37 cents to like $8 within like a year and a half. So don't forget that. The upside can be crazy, the downside can be crazy. So that and it's been just chopping sideways here for a very long time. Everybody's getting used to just keep chopping. I don't think it necessarily has to do that, right? But those are kind of the numbers I'm looking at. I think minimally this cycle is going to end up hitting the previous all-time high around like $15, but it's probably going to go a lot higher. IREN, what's going on? This is, I think I drew this probably on the weekly here on the GAN. Hitting some weekly GAN horizontal resistance here, trying to break through, close the week above it. The Ichimoku weekly has been served as support, very nicely bouncing up. If you're looking at the fit levels here, again, like last time we got rejected here, 0.786. I think it's current gravity back up to like $13, $14. That's probably where it's going to go. And once it hits there, if it passes that, then it's going to go up to the arc up here around like the 20s. Once it passed there, I don't think it's going up to like 200. Okay, but once it passed there, if I do a linear scale, I think it's going to give me more confluence. Once it passed $22.42 in this arc over here, and once it passed the horizontal line over here, so you talk about maybe $45, but most likely maybe up here around the arc here, which is going to be precisely around like the 2.618 level here, $72.30. Can you go all the way up to the horizontal here around like 110s maybe? But again, I don't know. It's went from like $1 to like $15 within like a year and a half. It could potentially go up a lot higher over time. We'll see what Bitcoin does. WULF is looking great, but it's also hitting resistance zone, right? It's hitting the 0.618 here. So yeah, we'll see whether or not it breaks through. But I'm not going to bet against WULF because it's a very, 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 very beautiful bull trend. Like it looks like it just wants to keep going higher. The lower Bollinger Band is just all the way down to the floor. It looks like this thing wants to go higher. So it's going to push through the 0.618 eventually. It's going to get to 0.786. And once you push through $17, it's lights out. It's lights out. And you can potentially hit some like 70, 114, 157, 187, depending on what Bitcoin IWM ends up doing. Yeah, that's WULF. CORZ, I don't really have a whole lot of levels to talk about because it's just not much of a history here. But if you're going to do a weekly chart here, you can see that it's like the 20-week moving average is crawling up again, and Bollinger Band is expanding again. It's going to go up higher, which is just absolutely ridiculous. The question would be like what levels, and this is always tough because there's no history for me to really chart. So if I attempt by doing a again here, should I start here? Should I start here? I can start here because it's a double bottom. If I do again here on the weekly, I can just go to like 90 because I don't really need to go that far. I'm getting a little bit lazy here with this chart. You go to 90, you do 1, you can see that it's basically bouncing from the 45-degree angle up. Initially finding some horizontal resistance here at the again horizontal here. Probably going to gravity up to like 22, maybe a little higher around 25, 26 at this arc. And then it's probably going to go higher after that. But those are kind of like the immediate resistance level. How high do I think it goes? I don't know. I don't have any fit levels to really give you. But I think it's possible to it's possible for like CORZ to break the square. I'm just going to leave it as that. So BTBT, I have a small position. I like BTBT. And I think it bounced where it needed to bounce. And it's currently at a very strong resistance level here. If I do a fit retracement here from here to here, actually I need to capture that little wick right there. Okay, Yeah, it's like linear wise it's 0.136, but like in the FIP wise is 0.5. It's just been rejected at 0.5. Very important level here in the past too, for many years, right? If it breaks above that, and currently we did end up having a we haven't had 2 consecutive week that close above the 0.5. You have 1 week here, but end up closing below. You have 1 week here, close below. Next week after that, 1 week here, close below after that. And then this is the for a long time now, the first week that we're closing above the 0.5, right? Need to break about the 0.6. Sorry, need to break about $6.8, 13.63, and then we're talking about potential higher targets. I think that some of the higher targets, if you're able to break about those numbers, would be like 53.85. I don't think it goes beyond that, but it depends. BTBT also holds a lot of Ethereum, so if Ethereum ends up beasting like it is doing right now, then yeah, BTBT can do extremely well in that environment. A lot of people say I'm like crapping on Riot. I guess I am a little bit, but it did break about the 0.382. So I think it's going to gravitate up to 0.618 here. Before it does that, the biggest problem I have, let's see, the biggest problem I have is that it needs to break above the HM cloud on the weekly, which is the top of the weekly here is around 14.24. So it needs to break above that before going higher. But like it's reclaiming the on support band. It hasn't really done that for a very long time. The monthly here, a little bit concerning thing is that the 20-month moving average, actually, it's not that concerning anymore. It broke above of it. I think Riot is gonna hit higher levels. I think it's gonna get to like 0.5 here, $16. $14 was the weekly Ichimoku cloud, but it's probably gonna go push higher. I just don't know how much higher it's gonna go. It might be one of those late cycle bloomers. But overall, I love this Morningstar look to it. This is a very bullish thing. It's probably going to push through at least like 0.618 and 0.786 by like Q1 and Q2 of 2025. And then we'll see what happens after that. I actually am turning pretty bullish for Riot. Yeah, it's not a bad chart. It's just the other charts look like they've repaired more. But yeah, Riot's good. HUD 8, very good. What's HUD 8 doing right now on the log? Broke about the 0.5, going to get to $25.78 next, and then that's also going to be 0.618 here around $25.78 around the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud over here, which makes sense. Broke about the cloud. I'm sorry, broke about the Tenkan Nikijin, get to the bottom of the cloud. That's going to be the next logical step, right? Bullish. I don't have anything else to say about it. Coinbase. What's Coinbase doing? Extremely bullish, but right into a very important FIP level, 0.618. You might have people taking profits over here just like they did before. But I think that this time we should push through because you do have a trident bottom over here. And whenever you have these trident bottoms over here, or like a tweezer bottom over here, there's a possibility for it to just kind of push through a lot higher, right? This is a linear. If you look at FIP scale, you can see that we've already broken about the 0.786. Last time we have a little bit of false breakout, was not able to really confirm that. But yeah, Coinbase already broke out 0.786 here in log. Technically speaking, come back into like 240s and back test it before going higher. It doesn't have to. It does have a rising Tenkan here as support for price to go up higher. Tenkan right now is around 214.8. I don't think it's going to go back that low again because a lot of people really want to get in. 20-minute moving average got close to testing it. I don't think it's going to go back down to like 0.618 here again because a lot of people want in right now. Because altcoins are going crazy soon and it can blow your mind. So I think Coinbase can also potentially blow your mind, especially if it closed a month about 0.786. And if it ends up confirming that next month, then you're talking about a lot higher. We're simply just basically, we have to do this. We have to do this. The reason why we have to do this is because we spent a long time over here and we just basically have to break through this, support turn resistance here, and we have to flip that back into support. We have to do this. And it did exactly what I needed to do. Go to 0.786, bounce from 0.6818. Like, this is a very bullish look. This whole thing right here looks like a buck, big ass cup and handle. Like, it looks like it's trying to break the handle. It's trying to break above. If it comes back, again, back test, maybe 246, around 0.786, I can see that happening. Would I count on that? Not necessarily. Looking at a lower time frame, very much of a Marubazu candle. You have engulfing as well, bullish engulfing here as well. So yeah, we'll see. I can't be too like deterministic. I don't think it's going to come back down to like the 215s anymore. If it does that, yeah, it'll be absolutely devastating for my Cornell because I'm still holding my Cornell. I'm not selling. I'm just going to hold it through the cycle, which is like a crazy thing. The Bollinger Band is expanding here on a weekly. Next week is going to go up even higher. It might just ride up a Bollinger Band up to the next level, which is going to be around 319. But yeah, downside risk 246. Again, I don't think it's going to come down all the way back down here, but like 218 is always possible. Quick through the cloud, back test cloud, always possible, right? So just know your downside risk. If this is too much volatility, because you're talking about 270 going down to like 218, that's a lot of loss. Like you're talking about like 15%, 20% down. Then Cornell is going to go down 40%. Think about it. And I'm holding Cornell. Like I'm not selling. this is how crazy I am. Like, I see potential 40% downturn for Cornell. I'm not selling. I don't care because where I think it's going to go, 2,000 possible, right? But I see it hitting like 4 digits. I really see it hitting like 2.618, 3.618, 1,000, 1,400. I see that happening. With Cornell, if it goes down 40%, there's going to be a lot of decay. Like if you bought Cornell over here and it made a downtrend over here, you probably still haven't made it back to this level. I'll show you that. Like Cornell, because of the volatility, yeah, you have a huge decay, right? And if you have a downtrend, it takes a lot more uptrend for you to kind of push back above to break even, right? So I entered Cornell like around the low 30s, maybe like 30 or something like that. So right now I'm deep in profits, but like if it makes a downturn like 40%, yeah, I'm just here to tell you like this is not financial advice. I'm crazy. You guys do whatever you want to do, but I am holding my Cornell. So if Cornell goes lower, if Coinbase goes back down to the zone over here, I might sell my coin and buy Cornell and just ride it out. But so far, this looks like a very bullish chart. Like I don't know what else to say about it. It looks very bullish. We are at resistance though, so there might be some people taking profits. But again, Ethereum is beasting right now, so we'll see what happens on Monday. It might come. Ethereum might end up coming back down to like 2880 or something like that. Is entirely possible by Monday. Like this weekend pumps, I can't trust it. But if it ends up staying around the current level right now, I can see Coinbase breaking about the 0.618 very convincingly, and just kind of take it from there. Yeah, I'm watching Celsius. All right, MSTR. What's going on MSTR? MSTR is beasting, is finding resistance here at the 2.272 Fibonacci level. Getting rejected here. And actually, if you think about it, over the last couple weeks or so, MSTR actually kind of underperformed here a little bit. I'm going to do like MSTR over Coinbase chart. And you can see that MSTR has been just outperforming Coinbase for a very long time. And this trend just keeps on looking like up, 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 up. But you might be hitting a little bit of exhaustion. I don't know. It's just, let me do a 2-week chart here. This thing just looked way overextended. And if I do a, yeah, I would do an RSI. I mean, there's not really any like bearish divergence or anything like that. It's a racial, so I'm going to turn it to like linear. But it just looks like crazy. It just look way overextended here. And RSI went up to like 80. But recently, it's been just chops filled. This looks like it's getting a little bit exhausted with this weekly going up like this a little bit, but the RSI kind of plummeting down here a little bit. This trend looks exhausted. I think MSTR is going to go up higher. Don't get me wrong. I would never bet against a bull trend on the monthly that looks like the way that MSTR does. I would not bet against this. It looks like it wants to go higher, but I think it might be getting a little bit, exhausted, and it may not be like as parabolic as it was before. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like you can still make a lot of gains from that. But I'm starting to, wondering if the Bollinger Band would start to kind of contract here a little bit. whenever it if the Bollinger Band contracts a little bit like it did over here around April of 2021, what did price do around April of 2021? Like it just kind of went sideways here for 3 months, and the trend got exhausted. Right now, you had an uptrend, so the trend's not exhausted yet. The lower Bollinger Band is still, resuming its downtrend. But I think it's important to kind of look and see when the Bollinger Band, starts to contract again, and that might be really like where MSTR is going to end up starting to be really exhausted. I see it hitting like 500 easy. I see it hitting like a lot higher targets. Do I think it's going to like 2040? I don't think so. That's like another 10x from here. I don't think so. It could, if Bitcoin goes to $200,000. I guess MSTR is double leverage, then it could potentially get up there, right? But it might end up somewhere in between these two levels or here. It may end up be like 1,000, 1,400, something like that. That's kind of what I'm looking at. I think I have a very small position in MSTR, but I'm not really getting into it. What else do you want to talk about? Give me like a couple minutes here. I'm just gonna get hydrated here a little bit. I'm gonna keep talking. Okay. Let me just do here. Pee break and hydration break. And I'm gonna just give a little bit of a time here to recoup here. You guys, please feel free to leave some comments. I'm gonna try to get back to DK's question here in a little bit. I will be back here in a little bit. DK, I'm going to answer your question. Any reason why not to go in Cornell and MSTX? I just answered it. Because if you have some pretty brutal, unexpected downtrend to grab liquidity, which I don't think there's going to be anymore, but if you do, you're going to have like a lot of significant decay. I just kind of show you the coin chart over, the Cornell chart. It's important to know that. Let me get real deep in Japan here. It's important to know that Coinbase is going to hold better than Cornell through any volatility, right? Like it's just going to hold a lot better, right? Same thing with MSTR. You don't have an MSTR; it's just kind of going sideways here for 6 months, and you do like MSTX. Oh, I don't know what MST. Well, I guess I don't have any chart to show that, but it would have gone downwards. It would have gone downwards because of the volatility. Just for holding it for months and going sideways, you're going to lose like at least 10-20% of your money. And if this thing is like really super volatile, you're going to lose like even more just holding the MSTX. Yeah, I don't know that for sure, which is why I'm holding coin. Right now, I actually went back to my portfolio. I think I'm like 40 or 50% coin L and like 50-60% coin. So I think that that's kind of where I'm at right now. This is how comfortable I am that I think we're done with the downtrend. I'm like 50% sure that it's done. So like I'm because you can never be like 100%. You can. This is not deterministic, right? TIA is not deterministic. Um, so I'm like 50% sure that it's going to, but I'm also like hedging with some coin because I want some stability in my portfolio. And coin is not a stable stock. Like it just went up from like 180 to like 270. This is not. Anyway, not for the faint of heart. I think right now there are a few stocks that I'm kind of watching because a lot of the things I'm watching are really kind of ticking off, if you will. So I'm trying to find stocks that I think would be a good area to accumulate. And I'm also looking at altcoins too, because if Bitcoin and Ethereum going to run, like there's still a lot of altcoins still hasn't really run yet. And they're still kind of nearing some pretty decent, pretty juicy bottoms, if you will. So those are kind of things that I'm kind of looking at here. With Coinbase, if altcoins going to do well, which I think they are, because if you look at the others chart here, the others chart is basically the whole cryptocurrency market cap, excluding the top 10 coins. And it's been looking extremely bullish because it's just basically doing a breakout and back test of this, zone over here. And it's also got a Bach here, like big, giant ass cup and handle. And it looks like we just kind of broke the handle and we look like we want to kind of go up. Like there's nothing bearish about altcoin. If you look at like the monthly, you see these like tridents, you see these wicks down below. It looks like it just wants to beast. It looks like it's just going up along with a rising 20-month moving average. So the question is trying to pick the right altcoin. And it's hard to do. So if you have a hard time, you think the altcoin is going to go up, you have a hard time picking the right altcoin, then what's a good leverage play for it? Coinbase. Coinbase is already looking more bullish than the altcoin market. Like it already is getting to some, pretty important levels. It already has kind of broke about the log fit level of 0.786, right? The altcoins, they haven't really done that quite yet. But granted, if altcoins are gonna end up, beasting, they can outperform Coinbase like nothing. If you do like a fit level from here to there, I need to turn on my magnet. You do a fit level from here to there, it's barely just bringing about the 0.618, So that's also part of rationale for me to want to be in Coinbase. If you talk about individual altcoin, I gotta say I love Dogecoin based on the morphology, based on the cycle behavior. It's just the fact that there's a lot of things you can chart, because there's a lot of history here. I think I did this. It's got to be like a lower time frame thing that I did. Did I do it daily? Did I do it daily? Yeah, I did, didn't I? Okay, not very good market symmetry here. Gonna go back up to like a higher time frame. Why I think Dogecoin is going to the moon. I don't think there's any like dispute that this is a bullish structure. And if you're basically doing this whole like trend line over here, it did the same thing last cycle. It's doing the same thing this cycle. Last cycle, when it breaks above for this trend line, it went crazy. I can't guarantee you that we're gonna go crazy this month for November. It's only a week and a half in, but it could, right? And there are a lot of indicators that basically telling the same thing. Breaking above the Tenkan Nikkei here is bullish. We are hitting the cloud here. Bottom of the cloud here is around, where is it at? Yeah, bottom of the cloud is around 24 cents, 24.79 cents. Top of the cloud is 38 cents. Last time it sliced for it like butter. It didn't even care. Do I think it cared this time? Maybe. Last time it broke above the 2-week Ichimoku cloud, which is like right around here. It kind of got stalled here for a little bit, right? So let's kind of see where it got stalled at from the last time in terms of Fibonacci, from the top here to the bottom here. What did it do? What did I say? From what was an important level that it needs to break above before going higher? The 0.786, right? Got stuck underneath the 0.786 here for what, like a month? That's awful. What did it do? Came back for a back test of 0.678 almost perfectly. What happened after that? Broke about the 0.786, and the rest is history, right? Interesting. Oh, by the way, it did the last cycle for Doge. I think it ended up hitting the 2.272 on the lock fit level, right? So all of these are very interesting to kind of look at. Also got rejected almost close to 1.618 here as well. So do I think that it's going to be that bullish this cycle? No. I mean, that's like the market cap's higher. Things are just not, but I don't know anything. All I know is that this is a bullish chart. I would like to see it. I think 42 cents is going to be a strong resistance level. 42 cents is going to be a strong resistance level. You break about 42 cents, then lights out. Yeah, you break about 42 cents, then it's lights out. Very close to the top of the monthly Ichimoku cloud here, right? So I think if you break above the monthly Ichimoku and if you're able to break 42 cents, the 0.786, then lights out. I can see Doge going to $4. And if you think that's too crazy, I don't think like people throwing out like these random targets like $24. I mean, like sure, that's where if you look at the last cycle, it went to 2.272 on the lock fib. That if you're doing the same thing, that would be $24 Doge. I think that's crazy, right? $4 at the 1.618 with diminishing return possible, still pretty crazy, right? If you do a linear scale chart here, $1.20 possible, $1.66 possible, $1.90 possible, $2.62 possible, $3 possible, right? So yeah, I mean, I think it's all gonna do pretty, decent moving forward. I just needed to break about the 42 cents. And it looks like it wants to do that. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Doge, and with Doge breakout, then I think like the rest of the stuff is gonna like chase. Even ADA is breaking out. even Cardano is breaking out. Even Cardano is like beasting. Like I don't that there's something happening with the cryptocurrency market that I think will happen. And I've been talking about it for quite some time. If you look at the 2-week Ichimoku cloud, it's basically just bounced from the bottom of the cloud. It looks like it wants to hit the top of the cloud, and it just keep pushing forward. A lot of the altcoins look like this. Chainlink looks like this. Boba looks like this. Sorry about this, messy chart here. I'm gonna get rid of a lot of these like GAN crap here that you don't need to look at. Boba looks like this. Bounced from the 2-week Ichimoku cloud. Cody looks like this. Right, I already showed you. AMP looks like this. Cortesi is underperforming. I do hold this, but it's underperforming. Unfortunate. But like a lot of these altcoins, like Graph looks like this. The Graph looks like this. A lot of these, like basically, you're buying the same chart. It doesn't matter what you buy. Like to me, it's just whatever. Like if you don't know how to buy altcoins, buy Coinbase. Right? Not financial advice, but a lot of these altcoins are looking very, very similar. So. I might go for another like 13 minutes. I'll probably get off at like 7. Vivian, do you want me to talk about anything in particular? I was looking at ENPH. I want to talk about ENPH. I think it's interesting. I don't know if I want to buy ENPH, but if I was to buy ENPH, I would buy it here. Why would I? And I haven't wanted to buy Enphase for a long time. Why would I want to buy Enphase here? Well, rates are going down, right? I just show you the 10 years going down. And a lot of people worry about, hey, but the Republicans are in charge. They're not going to be very friendly. Where it's like these clean energy stocks, right? Well, not necessarily. I mean, I think that the entire beast run over here was happening under the Trump administration. So, like, honestly, I think they're just economically sensitive. I don't think they really care about like environmental policy or anything like that. But the whole thing is you're basically at a point where you're flipping this arc over here from resistance to support. Over here at this downtrend, we didn't really quite touch. I'm going to get rid of the Ishimoku cloud because you can see it better. We didn't really quite touch the arc over here, right? Right now we're getting close to it. I think the arc is going to be touched around $65. And that would be a very, very nice back test of the arc, right? Can it go lower and touch the bottom part of the arc? Sure it can. You can go down to the 40s. It doesn't have to do what I want it to do, right? This is also part of the reason why I'm not like buying to die Enphase. But I think there's a possibility where the bottom is at $65. This is one reason, because it's been flipping this arc from resistance to support and just been rejected up here on the top of the arc, come back down here to back test the arc over here, because it just got exhausted and it just needed to find some back test before any further bullish continuation. The other reason is because of the Bollinger Band. And I was showing the Great Mass be this here too. The other reason is because of the lower Bollinger Band. What it did was it basically went from the upper Bollinger Band here, got exhausted, broke down, couldn't back test the 20-month moving average, couldn't hold, came back down, hit the lower Bollinger Band, bounced, didn't really quite get up that much higher, and then went to the other side of the lower Bollinger Band. You know what else I've seen this at before? Before it bottomed? PayPal. What did it do? Got exhausted here on upper Bollinger Band, bounced down at the lower Bollinger Band, didn't really have much of an impulsive bounce here, bounced to the other side of the lower Bollinger Band, and that's when it bottomed, right? What happened with the Nasdaq from the dot-com bubble? What happened to the Nasdaq from the dot-com bubble? What did it do? It went to the upper Bollinger Band here, trend got exhausted, broke down, went to the lower Bollinger Band, didn't really quite get that hump, right? It just kind of went sideways, and it bounced almost to the other side of the lower Bollinger Band before recovery, right? So that is my case of the potential bottoming of Enphase. Granted, I don't. There's one reason why I'm not loading up on Enphase, is because the 20-month moving average is still very negative sloping. Like, I can't guarantee that it's not going to make a lower high or lower low after making a lower high here. I can't guarantee that. The best case scenario over the next 6 months, this is the bottom, sideways, wait for the 20-month moving average to flip, from negative sloping to positive, maybe even have like a very impulsive candle, get back to like the 80s and 90s, challenge the 20-month moving average. It hasn't even done that during the entire bear market after it broke down. Like, I can't answer it, but do I think this is a potential bottom? Yeah. Just like I thought that, like for SQ, I thought that the 40. Let me see here. Yeah, SQ did the same thing, by the way. Would you want to buy the bottom? Sure. That would be a very nice bottom to buy. Does that mean that the SQ is going to beast from here? No. Like, it went sideways for like a whole year and did nothing after that. This is like a very similar morphology. So that's the reason why I'm not feel that excited about trying to cash the Enphase bottom, because I think that it's probably going to take at least another 6 months to a year for it to go higher. Granted, if you were to bought in like the 30s, you would have made a lot of money. Like, you're like probably like 100% higher, right? But there's no guarantee that this is the bottom. This is how scary it is. I call this bottom, but it was like back in the days when I liked calling bottoms and I like catching falling knives. Like, I call this a bottom also based on the fact that there's a little bit of a trend line here. I thought that was the bottom over here, but like, there's no guarantee, right? yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of share you my thoughts on Enphase. I might be interested, but I'm just not sure about that. Celsius, unless you guys have any other requests, I think I'm going to probably make this my last stock to talk about. I am eyeing this. The downtrend is decelerating. It could make a higher, it can make a lower high, but it might continue to drop down to this box. You know why I think it might drop down to this box is because I think that it makes sense for it to backtest after this big giant run up here. It makes sense for it to backtest the Ichimoku cloud, which it hasn't done for like 5 years, and it's getting ready to. It also has a little bit of a bearish cross. This whole uptrend, by the way, was happening on the katana, which is just absolutely insane. This katana happened for like a whole year, and it broke and it broke out, and the price just kept going up higher. Got exhausted, right? This is clearly an exhausted bull trend compared to here, and had to correct. What's the natural area for it to correct down to? To the 20s, to the Ichimoku cloud. The downtrend is decelerating, but there's no guarantee. It might even if it goes sideways, I think it touches the cloud. I think it touches the cloud. If you're trying to catch a falling knife on Hershey's, I thought that was going to go into the cloud. It didn't bounce on the cloud. It actually ended up going inside the cloud. Like I think that I think it's a very very similar juncture here for what Celsius is right now. Is decelerating, but there's no guarantee it won't make another lower low, right? Like I have these charts just memorized in my head. They look the same. They look the same. I'm not buying Celsius, but if it went inside the cloud and if the business model is actually improving, um, then yeah, I might consider starting a position. If it ends up bottoming here, it ends up going up higher from there, great. Happy for the bulls. I'm just not seeing enough technicals for me to feel that confident about it. Another reason why is because I also see like the lower Bollinger Band here. There might be a little bit more room for it to go down to the bottom of the cloud here. So that's kind of what I'm seeing with Celsius. But yeah, thank you for sitting out here for 2 hours and listening to all me yapping for like 2 hours straight. There are 33 people that are still here, which is amazing. It's not as crazy as last week, which again, I don't know. I think last week I got like a lot of views, a lot of live people like being in here, but this week it's actually a little bit subdued, even though we have like a rocketing market. Regardless, thank you so much for listening in. Thank you for joining membership if you joined, and just you guys have a great night. I'm gonna try to do this again next week. Take care. Bye.